Welcome to the Deep Dive, the place where we really get into complex topics, dig through the sources, and pull out the insights that, genuinely help you feel informed.
Yeah, totally clued in.
So today we're diving into the world of a filmmaker who, well, his name just screams high-stakes crime drama, right? But also these really deep character studies.
Oh, absolutely. And that visual style.
Yeah.
So gritty, but then also just stunningly artistic. You know what we mean.
We're talking about a director whose fingerprints are all over modern cinema.
Yeah.
A master of mood, meticulous detail, those neon cityscapes, the morally gray standoff.
Instantly recognizable.
That's the one. Our deep dive today focuses squarely on Michael Kenneth Mann, American director, screenwriter, author, producer, the guy who basically took the stylized crime drama and, just elevated it, turned it into art.
Definitely. His films aren't just about, what happens next. They're really digging into who these people are, the why behind their actions, the whole psychological terrain they inhabit.
And our mission here for this deep dive is really to unpack Mann's entire career arc. We want to explore that unique journey, from his early days, his education, dissect what makes his directing style so distinctive, and track how he evolved through film, through TV.
Right. The goal is for you, the listener, to come away with a really thorough understanding of what makes a Michael Mann film, tick.
Yeah.
Why they resonate so deeply, why they feel so immersive, so authentic.
And the critical recognition, it's definitely there. He's got 2 Primetime Emmy Awards sitting on the shelf, plus nominations for 4 Academy Awards, 2 Golden Globes, a BAFTA. That's serious, consistent acclaim. Not many can match that track record in Hollywood.
No, it's really impressive. And throughout this deep dive, we'll touch on some absolute classics. Thief, Heat, The Insider, Collateral.
Yeah.
And we can't forget his huge influence as a showrunner on TV, particularly with something like Miami Vice. Get ready to explore the mind behind some truly unforgettable, intensely observed moments in cinema.
Okay, let's get into it then. Let's unpack this, starting right back at the beginning with part 1, the formative years and early career.
Good place to start.
So Michael Mann was born February 5th, 1943 in Chicago, Illinois. Jewish background, and his family history is sort of a classic immigrant story. His grandfather came over from the Russian Empire in 1912.
Oh, okay.
And then brought Mann's father over in 1922. So you've got these roots in this big industrial American city, Chicago, but also this heritage of, displacement, rebuilding.
You can almost see how that might feed into his later themes, can't you? Individuals with their own codes navigating these complex urban worlds.
Exactly. That Chicago backdrop, with all its history, especially its, let's say, colorful history with crime and urban life, must have been a pretty compelling environment for a young creative mind.
No doubt. He graduated from Evanston High School. And here's a fun little detail. Bob Fosse went there, too.
No way. Bob Fosse, that's quite a connection. Suggests some artistic energy coming out of that school.
Right. So after high school, Mann went the academic route. Studied English literature at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, got his BA in '65.
Okay, standard enough so far. But then comes this pivotal moment, a real cornerstone, I think, for his whole philosophy.
Ah, you're talking about the Dr. Strangelove revelation.
Exactly. Stanley Kubrick's masterpiece. Mann saw it while he was a student, and it just, bang, hit him profoundly, changed his whole perspective on what film could actually do.
And what was it specifically? What did he take away from Strangelove?
Oh, he put it really clearly himself. He said Kubrick's film showed his generation that, and I'm quoting here, you could make an individual statement of high integrity and have that film be successfully seen by a mass audience all at the same time.
That's huge. So not having to choose between being niche and artistic or being mainstream and maybe superficial?
Precisely. Kubrick proved you could be serious, intelligent, deeply personal, and still connect with a huge audience. And Mann really took that to heart, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. Heat has these massive, thrilling action scenes, pure blockbuster stuff, but wrapped around these incredibly deep, almost existential studies of the characters.
Right. Or The Insider takes this complex story about corporate whistleblowing, journalism, and makes it this gripping, edge-of-your-seat thriller. He showed that commercial success didn't mean you had to compromise your vision. That's a powerful lesson to learn early on.
It really set him on his path. So after Wisconsin, his academic journey continued, but this time internationally. He went to London in the mid-'60s.
Yep. Earned a Master of Arts from the London Film School in 1967. That experience overseas must have broadened his horizons, exposed him to different film traditions, different ways of seeing things.
For sure. And that period, roughly 1967 to 78, that's when we see him really start to rise,
Yeah.
really start honing his craft.
He spent a good chunk of time in the UK, 7 years actually. First film school, then cutting his teeth working on commercials.
And look who he was working alongside. Alan Parker, Ridley Scott, Adrian Lyne, future heavyweights. That must have been an incredible environment.
Imagine the creative energy. Probably competitive, but also incredibly stimulating. They were forging new visual languages right there.
And what's interesting is how his early documentary work sort of laid the groundwork for his later realism.
Yeah.
In '68, he shot footage of the Paris student revolt for a documentary called Insurrection.
And that actually aired on NBC.
Yeah, on their first Tuesday news program. Then in 1970, he made a short film based on those '68 experiences called Jean Pourri.
And that won the jury prize at Cannes.
Exactly. Early international recognition right off the bat for something raw and observational. It really signals his talent and his instinct for capturing intense reality.
Winning at Cannes with a documentary short. That's quite something. But then life happens. 1971, after a divorce, Mann heads back to the U.S.
And his career takes a turn towards television. He got what he called a crash course in TV writing and story structure from Robert Lewin.
So learning the ropes of episodic storytelling, character arcs over a season, hitting those plot points for a weekly audience, under pressure too.
And he clearly took to it. Became a really prolific TV writer pretty quickly. Did episodes for shows like Starsky and Hutch, Bronk. Getting his name out there, mastering that structure.
But the real game changer, the experience that seems to have fundamentally shaped his entire approach, was working on Police Story between 76 and 78.
Yes. That was such a groundbreaking show for its time.
He wrote 4 episodes, even directed one for the spin-off Policewoman, and crucially, he worked closely with Joseph Wambaugh.
The cop-turned-novelist. That must have been invaluable.
Absolutely. Mann said that experience taught him something vital, something that became a cornerstone. First-hand research was essential to bring authenticity to his work.
And that insight is key to understanding Michael Mann, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just about writing a cool crime story. It was about getting the details right, the feel, the psychology, the reality of it.
That deep dive into the subject matter, understanding the procedure, the language, the emotional cost, all of it. That pursuit of authenticity became non-negotiable for him.
You see it time and time again. This commitment sets his work apart.
And you can see him laying that groundwork even before his big feature break. He was developing screenplays, often in that same crime territory.
Right, like The Last Public Enemy, based on Alvin Karpis' autobiography. Or an early draft of Straight Time, based on Edward Bunker's novel.
Always drawn to those criminal narratives, the lives lived on the edge. He even created and wrote the pilot for Vega in 1978. The thematic threads were definitely there early on.
It makes you think, how did all that TV work? Especially the procedurals where detail and efficiency are everything. Prepare him for features.
It must have honed his storytelling skills, his ability to build character quickly, keep the audience hooked. Skills he then applied with even more depth and resources on the big screen.
And those big screen moments weren't far behind. Which brings us nicely into part 2, career breakthrough and defining works, roughly 1978 to 1999.
His move into directing features actually started with a couple of TV movies first.
Right. His very first feature-length film was Swan Song with David Soul, filmed in '78 but didn't air until 1980.
But more significant, I think, in terms of hinting at his future style and getting him noticed, was The Jericho Mile.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Made for ABC in '79, but good enough for a theatrical release in Europe. And talk about authenticity, filmed on location at Folsom State Penitentiary.
Wow.
And it wasn't just gritty, it got critical acclaim too. Won an Emmy for writing, and crucially, the Directors Guild of America Award for Best Director.
DGA Award for an early TV movie? That's a massive endorsement. Really signals he was a serious talent to watch.
Definitely. But his proper cinema debut, the one that really announced his arrival, was Thief in 1981. James Kinney.
Classic. And right away, it was praised for its, quote, relatively accurate depiction of thieves in Chicago and New York.
And here's where that research obsession really kicks in. He brought in actual former professional burglars to consult to make sure that technical scenes, the heists, felt completely genuine.
That's amazing. Not just advisors, but really integrating their knowledge.
It's about getting the feel right, the process. Like in Thief, the way Canadian's character meticulously cracks that safe. It's not just cool to watch. It shows his professionalism, his dedication. It makes the character utterly believable.
Makes you feel like you're seeing the real deal. That granular detail is what pulls you into his world.
Totally. And interestingly, even when he took a sharp turn, like with The Keep in 1983,
The supernatural thriller set in Nazi Romania. Yeah, that was
a
different.
commercial flop at the time, but it developed this huge cult following later. Shows he had this unique vision that sometimes took audiences a while to catch up with.
Definitely a singular voice. Now, let's clear up something about his massive TV hits in the mid-'80s. Miami Vice, Crime Story.
Hugely influential shows.
Right, but he wasn't technically the creator. He was the executive producer and showrunner, steering the ship creatively through his own production company.
That's an important distinction, yeah. As showrunner, he was the architect, shaping that iconic look, the tone, the casting. His fingerprints are all over them, even if he didn't write the initial pilot concept.
Absolutely. He defined their aesthetic. His company also produced Band of the Hand in '86.
So a major force in TV. But then, in 1986, he brings Hannibal Lecter to the screen for the first time.
In Manhunter, his adaptation of Thomas Harris's Red Dragon, with Brian Cox as Lecter, before Anthony Hopkins famously took the role.
And Manhunter gives us another peek into Mann's process. William Peterson, the star.
Great in that film.
He said Mann gets so intensely focused, it takes him several years to complete a film. Peterson figured that's why Mann doesn't make films more often.
That speaks volumes about his dedication, doesn't it? Quality over quantity. That deep immersion pays off in the final product.
It really does. And he didn't abandon TV entirely. He did LA Takedown in '89.
Which became the basis for Heat later on.
Exactly. And the Drug Wars miniseries in the early '90s. Still exploring those crime narratives, honing that procedural realism.
But then came the film that really catapulted him to widespread recognition, showing his range beyond contemporary crime, The Last of the Mohicans in 1992.
An epic historical drama. Daniel Day-Lewis. French and Indian War. Just gorgeous and thrilling.
Critics loved it. Owen Gleiberman in Entertainment Weekly said Mann was a master of violence and lyrical anxiety, which is such a perfect description.
It really is.
Yeah.
And Peter Travers at Rolling Stone praised the richly detailed and thrillingly staged action. It proved Mann could handle huge scale, intense drama, beautiful visuals, emotional depth, the whole package.
Solidified him as a major director, but then, 1995, he returns to the crime genre and drops an absolute bombshell.
Heat. Just iconic. A masterpiece, no question. Pacino, De Niro, Kilmer.
The first time Pacino and De Niro shared the screen, technically.
Right, even though they were both in Godfather Part 2.
But Heat. It took the bones of LA Takedown and built this incredible, sprawling epic, critically acclaimed, commercially successful.
And just so deep. Todd McCarthy at Variety nailed it, calling it stunningly made and incisively acted, but also highlighting its thoughtful, deeply melancholy take on modern life, exploring the relativity of good and evil. That's the heart of it, isn't it? Kenneth Turan at the LA Times called it meticulously controlled and completely involving, but what sets Heat apart is those characters.
The way it explores the parallels between the cops and the criminals, these driven, disciplined men defined by their codes, their work, their isolation.
Yeah, and that diner scene, Macaulay and Hannah, it's not just a confrontation, it's this profound moment of mutual recognition, seeing themselves in the other. Discipline, loneliness, a shared destiny almost.
It transcends the good guy, bad guy thing. It's about professionals utterly consumed by their calling, locked in this inevitable clash.
So connecting that back to his style, Mann presents these complex individuals, often trapped by their choices, but unified by this almost monk-like devotion to their craft, whatever it is.
That creates this intense, almost operatic drama. You feel the weight of their lives.
And then, in 1999, he hits another high point, critically speaking, with The Insider.
The Jeffrey Wiggins story,
Right.
Russell Crowe, Al Pacino, phenomenal performances.
Totally. This film really showed off his style and ability to handle complex real-world stuff. It got 7 Oscar nominations, including Best Director for Mann. That's huge recognition.
It proved he could take something that could have been dry legal battles, journalism, and make it utterly compelling, visually dynamic cinema.
Roger Ebert's review was so powerful. He said The Insider hit him harder than All the President's Men because, and this is intense, Watergate didn't kill my parents. Cigarettes did.
Wow, that just drives home the film's impact, its relevance, Mann's ability to make these stories feel urgent and deeply personal.
An incredible testament to its power. Okay, let's move forward now into part 3. Evolution, experimentation, and recent work. So, post-2000.
Right. And one thing about Mann, he doesn't stand still. He even embraces evolution, especially with technology. With Ali in 2001, the Will Smith biopic,
Great performance from Smith.
Mann started experimenting with digital cameras. That was a big shift, stylistically and technologically.
And you see that experimentation become really deliberate and purposeful in Collateral in 2004. Tom Cruise as the hitman, Jamie Foxx as the cab driver.
Fantastic film. And the way he used digital there was so specific. He shot the exteriors digitally, right? To capture more detail and depth in those LA night scenes.
Exactly. Leveraging digital strength in low light. But then, for the interiors, he switched back to traditional film stock to control the light and shadow differently.
So it wasn't just adopting digital for its own sake. It was a strategic choice to create a specific look and feel that moody, hyper-real, almost dreamlike LA night.
Precisely. And it worked. Jamie Foxx got an Oscar nomination for his role. Mann was still getting incredible performances, even while pushing the technical envelope.
That meticulousness, again, even down to the camera format for different scenes, astounding.
He was also busy producing during this time. He produced Scorsese's The Aviator in 2004.
Which Mann had actually been developing with Leonardo DiCaprio first.
Right. Yeah, he handed the reins to Scorsese, but stayed on as producer. Shows he can shepherd big projects even when not directing. And The Aviator got a Best Picture nomination.
Then in 2006, he goes back to his TV roots, sort of, directing the film version of Miami Vice. Colin Farrell, Jamie Foxx.
A very different take than the TV show. Much grittier, more Mann-esque, arguably.
His visual sense was also bleeding into other areas. He started directing high-end commercial.
Right, for luxury brands.
Yeah.
Like that Mercedes-Benz Lucky Star ad in 2002 with Benicio del Toro. Looked like a mini-man thriller.
Totally. And those Nike Leave Nothing commercials in '07, using the score from Last the Mohicans, epic.
And very fittingly, he did a promo video for Ferrari in 2008. Speed, style, cinematic gloss. Makes sense. He also kept producing, like The Kingdom and Hancock, both directed by Peter Berg. Mann even had a little cameo in Hancock.
Huh, really? Okay. Then in 2009, he tackles the Depression-era crime world with Public Enemies.
Depp as Gillinger, Bale as Purvis. Based on Brian Burroughs' nonfiction book, applying that signature realism and psychological depth to a historical setting.
Meticulously detailed, as you'd expect. Now, stepping slightly outside the films for a moment, the sources mention something from 2009.
Yes. The record shows he signed a petition supporting Roman Polanski's release after his arrest in Switzerland. We're just noting this as part of the public record provided in our sources without taking any stance ourselves.
Right, duly noted. Back to his creative work 2010, he returns to TV, co-executive producing Luck for HBO with David Milch.
David Milch, wow. That's a heavyweight pairing. Dustin Hoffman, Dennis Farina, Mann directed the pilot.
Set the tone, visually and narratively. And it got picked up for a second season initially.
But then, tragedy struck. The show was canceled after 3 horses sadly died during production. A really unfortunate end to what looked like a very promising, high-quality series.
Just shows the unpredictable nature of production sometimes. Now, Mann kept exploring contemporary themes, even if the reception wasn't always uniformly positive, like Blackhat in 2015.
The cybercrime thriller with Chris Hemsworth. Filmed all over the world, LA, Hong Kong, Jakarta. Very relevant topic.
But it got, well, mixed reviews and didn't do well at the box office.
It's commercial disappointment, yeah. But it's interesting, some critics did put it on their best of the year lists, which highlights how subjective film reception can be. Even a flop can have significant artistic merit for some viewers.
That's a great point. It wasn't a total wash critically for everyone, and he's kept busy since then. 2022, he directed the first episode of Tokyo Vice for HBO Max.
His first directing gig since Blackhat, bringing him back to the crime genre.
And in the same year, he co-wrote a novel, Heat 2, with Meg Gardner.
Which is both a prequel and a sequel to the '95 film, covering '88 to 2000.
Exactly. Shows he's still deeply invested in that world, those characters, expanding the mythology.
Fascinating. And then his most recent feature, 2023's Ferrari. Adam Driver as Enzo Ferrari, Penelope Cruz. Shot in Modena.
Premiered at Venice. Got generally positive reviews, right? Praised for the intensity, Mann's direction.
Yeah, moderate success in the U.S. box office, though it apparently underperformed overseas. But still, another distinctive, meticulously crafted film added to his body of work. Clearly still passionate about filmmaking.
Absolutely. Okay, so that brings us perfectly into part 4, the signature style of Michael Mann. What makes his films feel like his films?
Well, the visuals are a huge part of it, those trademarks, those powerfully lit night scenes.
Oh, yeah. They're not just dark, they're alive. Neon reflections, deep blues, stark whites. Like in Collateral, LA at night becomes this whole other character.
Totally. It creates this mood, this urban isolation, a heightened reality that reflects the character's inner states. Its atmosphere is psychology.
And the scores, often really unusual choices. Tangerine Dream and Thief, so iconic, so perfect for that cool, detached vibe.
Or the new age sound for Manhunter.
Hmm.
Unsettling, unique. He's not afraid to use music that pushes boundaries for the genre, but it always deepens the feeling, the theme.
He also has key collaborators who help achieve that vision. Dante Spinotti, the cinematographer.
Crucial collaborator. Mohicans, heat, the insider. Spinotti's lighting and framing are a massive part of that man look.
FX Feeney described Mann's work as abundantly energetic in its precision and variety and psychologically layered. That hits the nail on the head, I think. It's not just style, it's substance.
Psychologically layered is key. And that IndieWire retrospective, focusing on his intense interest in stories pitting criminals against those who seek to put them behind bars. That duality is central.
Which leads to that really fascinating core idea in his work.
The cops and robbers dichotomy.
Yeah, the idea that, as the analysis goes, at the top of their respective games, crooks and cops are not so dissimilar as men. They each live and die by their own codes, and they each recognize themselves in the other.
That's such a profound observation running through his crime films. It's not just good versus evil. It's parallel lives, shared disciplines, often shared fates.
Think about Heat again, Hannah and Macaulay. Their lives are almost monastic in their devotion to their work. Relationships suffer because their real commitment is to the job, the code.
They're like modern warriors, bound by these intense personal ethics. That diner scene is the ultimate expression of it, recognizing the mirror image, the shared professionalism, the loneliness.
Respect, even admiration, between adversaries who know they're on a collision course. It blurs the lines.
So his protagonists, legal or not, are often driven by this meticulous professionalism, this unwavering commitment to their own rules. That's where the real drama comes from, internal and external.
And that commitment to realism extends to the action itself, especially the gunfire.
Oh, the sound design.
Right.
Legendary. Mann insists on using raw audio captured on set, not Foley effects added later.
You can hear the difference. It's visceral, shocking almost.
Absolutely. And he uses practical effects heavily. Actors go through boot camps for weapons handling. They fire full-load blanks.
Which have the gunpowder but no projectile, right. So you get the authentic muzzle flash and that deafening sound.
Exactly. It's an intense pursuit of authenticity. Makes the violence feel incredibly real, incredibly consequential, not just movie noise.
It's about respecting the reality of it, respecting the craft, both his own and that of the characters he's portraying.
Well said. And just a quick personal note, his daughter, Amy Mann, is also a film director and producer. The legacy continues.
That's great to hear. Okay, let's wrap things up with part 5, accolades and enduring legacy.
Because the recognition is definitely there, reflecting the quality and impact of his work. He's got nominations from BAFTA, Cannes, the Academy.
Yep, 2 Best Picture nominations as a producer for The Insider and The Aviator.
Yeah.
And the Best Director nomination for The Insider. Plus those 2 Emmys, Golden Globe nods. It's extensive.
And what really stands out is his ability to get career best performances from actors. Think about the Oscar nominations under his direction.
Right. Russell Crowe in The Insider, Will Smith and Jon Voight in Ali, Jamie Foxx in Collateral.
That says so much about his skill in guiding actors, getting them to embody these complex characters so fully. He's clearly an actor's director as much as a visual stylist.
No doubt. And his influence is reflected in critical rankings, too. Total Film put him at number 28 on their 100 Greatest Directors Ever list back in 2007.
And Sight and Sound. They ranked him even higher, number 5, on their list of the 10 best directors of the last 25 years, covering 1977 to 2002.
Number 5. That's huge praise from a very discerning publication. Really cements his status as a major, lasting force.
Plus other wins, like the National Board of Review Best Director for Collateral, Satellite Award for The Insider. The list goes on.
And his work has generated serious study, too. Books like Blood in the Moonlight, Michael Mann and Information Age Cinema, plus the Heat 2 novel. It shows the depth there, inviting analysis.
Absolutely. It speaks to the intellectual heft and enduring appeal of his films for scholars and fans alike.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, we've really traced Michael Mann's journey. From those early influences, that commitment to research.
To developing that signature style, those visual trademarks, the thematic depth.
Right. consistently delivering these narratives that are both incredibly thrilling, incredibly authentic, but also psychologically complex. They stick with you.
For sure. His blend of realism, character depth, innovative visuals, it's left a huge mark on cinema. He really changed how stories about crime, ambition, codes of honor, how those stories get told.
Influenced a whole generation of filmmakers, captivated audiences, definitely left an indelible mark.
No question.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought for you, the listener. Considering Mann's relentless drive for authenticity, his belief in making films with integrity for a mass audience, what do you think is the ultimate statement he's trying to make? About humanity, about these individuals living by strict codes in these complex, morally gray worlds.
Something to chew on.
Maybe it's time to rewatch a Mann film with all this in mind, see what lies beneath that cool, stylish surface.
Always rewarding to revisit his work.
Well, thank you for joining us on the deep dive. We hope this exploration of Michael Mann's craft and philosophy was illuminating.
And maybe inspires you to watch or rewatch some of his incredible films.
We look forward to having you with us next time for another deep dive.